Good afternoon, Joaquim Nunes. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the International ORP Foundation Executive Interview Series 2025. The series highlights global leaders in occupational health and safety, and this year is particularly special as we celebrate 25 years of the International ORP Foundation in Cartagena de Indias, Colombia. We are so excited to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here with you and to let you know a bit more about what the ILO is doing in terms of occupational safety and health.
Great, thank you so much. And before we start, let me take a brief moment to introduce you to our audience. Joaquim Nunes is a chief officer at the International Labour Organization. With vast experience in global workplace safety, Joaquim has played a key role in shaping international labor standards, improving working conditions, and strengthening occupational safety and health worldwide. Joaquim, does everything sound correct?
It does sound correct. Thank you.
Excellent. So let's give our audience a quick roadmap of what's ahead. We will start by exploring how the International Labour Organization is leading global efforts to improve workplace safety. Then we will switch gears and focus on modern technologies. Next, we will discuss what does it mean to have a safe and healthy working environment for everyone. And finally, we will wrap up by discussing the role of collaboration and the 25th anniversary of the International ORP Foundation. Joaquim, are we ready to start?
Ready to start whenever you want.
Great. So, as Chief Officer at the International Labour Organization, you have been at the forefront of global efforts to improve workplace health and safety. Therefore, how do you oversee key global initiatives aimed at improving working conditions?
Thank you for the question, Lilia. I would say that first and foremost, my main reference would be to the fact that in June 2022, the International Labour Conference, which is, the assembly that, gathers representatives of the ILO from the 187 countries, adopted a very important resolution that has elevated safety and health at work to what in the ILO we call the fundamental principles and rights at work. And it has also identified two of our many conventions or international treaties on safety and health at work as two fundamental conventions. These are conventions number 155 and number 187. And I'm referencing these two standards because as fundamental standards, because just by the fact that they are fundamental standards, this means that all of our member states have an obligation to respect, to promote, and to realize progressively, the principles enshrined by those standards. And this is of critical importance because these are the two standards that give you the blueprint for the management of occupational safety and health in any country of the world. These are the standards, for example, that let you know that in every single country, there should be a national, universal, comprehensive OSH policy. There should be also a national OSH program, and this should be supported through a national system with many different components. So this would be my first reference. The second reference is that also in November 2023, our governing body, which again, the constituents of the International Labour Organization, have adopted the new global strategy on safety and health at work. And this strategy provides you the hints on how is the ILO and the ILO member states supposed to give practice to these new fundamental rights. So it just lets you know that you need to work at least in a coordinated manner using all that regards the development of national OSH frameworks, again, policies, programs, and systems. Also that you need to mainstream OSH into all relevant public domains. You need to invest on OSH, but then at the workplace level, you also need to manage, and address all occupational hazards in a way that is specific to each organization and each workforce. So this would be, the main international landmarks that I will highlight as being the drivers, not only for the ILO, but also I hope for, the audience that is with us today.
Such an ambitious vision. And as we move on, let's zoom in on the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence and digitalization. Joaquim, what role do you believe artificial intelligence-driven risk assessments and digital compliance tools play in ensuring safer workplaces?
This is a very pertinent and timely question, just because in a couple of months, maybe you know that every 28th of April we commemorate the World Day for Safety and Health at Work, and this will be exactly the theme for this year's Safe Day. Occupational safety and health, digitalization, and namely the use of AI. So what we have seen, through the research that we have done, and this is well known, is that technology and AI in particular, they create opportunities to improve prevention, in so many different sectors, including by, removing workers from hazardous tasks and occupations, by also allowing for the better management of tasks and assignments in manufacturing, for example, in service provision. But at the same time, it comes with challenges. And these challenges have to do, for example, with the fact that AI may not lead to the human-centered approach that we would like to have, when we consider working conditions, namely by using algorithms to, for example, define workloads and different assignments. And we have seen, for example, that when it comes to platform work, quite often, the use of AI, it can help, to better deliver the services, but at the same time, it can also increase very much the workload, with negative effects, namely on the mental health of workers, that it's still to be addressed. And it's already being addressed in many places, namely through legislation, but still a challenge that I think that we do not know exactly, the whole extent when it comes to, the health of involved workers.
So well said. Technologies has so much potential. And now let's switch gears and focus on the historic moment in workplace safety, reinforcing that every worker, regardless of industry or location, deserves protection. In June 2022, the International Labour Organization recognized this safe and healthy working environment as a fundamental principle and right at work. Looking ahead, what are the biggest challenges and opportunities in ensuring the effective implementation of the principle globally, especially in sectors with high occupational risks?
Well, the opportunities for me, Lilia, are obvious. First of all, the fact that the international community recognized that safety and health at work is at the core of labor rights. With all the effects and impact that this has in terms of recognition of OSHA as a human right, also in terms of all that relates to international trade, the inclusion of provisions on safe and healthy working environment as preconditions for preferential trade agreements, for example. All that relates also to the fact that by being a fundamental right, we now know that member states are progressing, I would say, on a faster rhythm in terms of the realization of this right. And we have seen this, for example, through the annual reports that member states that did not ratify the two fundamental conventions now have to send to the International Labour Office every year. The challenges, on the other hand, are many. And challenges are many for countries in all stages of development and in all regions of the world. And let me give you a couple of examples. What we tend to see, in most cases, is that there is still a lack of data. And as we know, data is of critical importance for the formulation of policies, legislation, and even the strategic options on how to use the resources that we have available, at national level. So we don't have, in many countries, data on occupational injuries, and this is very much the case of, developing countries, and specifically sectors that are, predominantly informal. You think of agriculture, you think of construction, you think of, certain types of mining, But even still considering data, even when we think of industrialized countries, we quite often lack data on the number and types of occupational diseases. And this is very relevant because, according to our estimates, almost 90% of world fatalities related to work have as its cause a disease. So the lack of data is exponential when it comes to becoming a challenge in terms of, again, defining national priorities. Then again, the lack of expertise still in many countries. You have a legal obligation in any workplace to ensure a safe and healthy working environment, but quite often there is no qualification system that replies in a way to address the needs of the country in terms of providing professionals at different levels that can address the different categories of hazards that you'll find in workplaces. Then you have problems in terms of institutional capacities. You have also national OSH institutes that quite often do not have all the expertise that they need to provide advice to employees and to workers. You have labor inspectorates that also sometimes do not know how to address the specifics of certain hazardous sectors. You have, of course, the employees and the workers' organizations also suffering from, lack of capacity. So all of this together, and with drivers that are not affecting only occupational safety and health, but developing in general, and these drivers are very much related to to conflict, to again informality, to the fact that so many member states have so many needs that it's quite difficult to identify priorities, and quite often safety and health at work is not one of those priorities. So there is a big need to make the business case that investing on us, it's not only about human lives, it's also about economic growth and productivity. So I could stay here exchanging with you for the next half an hour on all the challenges that we have in different countries, but I'll highlight these three. Again, the lack of data, the lack of expertise, and also the need to build institutional capacity.
These are such relevant points. Thank you so much. It's inspiring to see how International Labour Organization is leading the way. And building up on everything we have discussed so far, it's clear that collaboration is at the heart of real progress. The International ORP Foundation has become a crucial platform for global dialogue on occupational risk prevention. And this year, we are proud to celebrate our 25 years in Cartagena de Indias, Colombia. Joaquim, if I could ask, how do you see the role of international collaboration between organizations like the International Labour Organization, governments, and private stakeholders in driving advancements in occupational health and safety?
We use a word in the ILO when referring to our work on safety and health at work, which is collective action. So, and this in a nutshell means that we need the efforts of all different kinds of stakeholders. And again, the ILO, as you may know, is a tripartite UN agency. So our constituents are governments, employees, and workers' organizations. But when thinking of safety and health, of course, that we need to work with international and regional networks and institutions such as ORP. We need to work with OSH professionals, and we need to work with even grassroots organizations, because, for example, if you want to address the many challenges that we find in informal workplaces, in agriculture, in small construction sites, quite often these are the stakeholders that can make the difference. So it's a kind of tripartite plus action that we call for. And as a matter of fact, the global strategy that I mentioned to you a while ago that was adopted in November 2023 identifies 5 critical areas of action, and one of those areas of action is exactly international and inter-institutional collaboration. Also, just to finish, this still as part of this strategy, and maybe one of the novelties when it comes to the work of the ILO in recent years is that we do acknowledge that you need more than working exclusively on the improving of national systems. You need to look into whole of government approaches that we look into the synergies and the interplay between occupational safety and health, public health, the environment, education, industrialization. So there's so many, public goods which are addressed by, different institutions at national level that we need to bring together in a way to effectively prevent, the life of the loss of life and all sorts of injuries and diseases that are still happening today. Almost 3 million workers dying every year because they go to work. And only through this collective action can we be successful in the future. So, a call, to all of you listening to this video to work with us or even work without us, but, work collectively so that this still major challenge, in the world can be addressed more effectively.
For sure, that is a very strong point. Joaquim, thank you so much for such an amazing conversation, and thanks to our audience. Before we close, do you have any final thoughts or words of advice to our audience?
Indeed. So I know that your audience, is composed of course, many different people, but very much, the arts professionals themselves. So quite often thinking of my background as well, before I joined the ILO, we tend to think that all that happens at the international level, has no direct implications for our work, and that our work cannot help, these international efforts to move forward. Well, this is not correct. So we do count on all of you at national level and whatever you are doing to also, join us in advocating for better working conditions, for, better prevention. And, we are all important because, again, we share the same goal, which again is to protect life as a basic human right. So thank you.
Such wonderful advice. Thank you so much. Last but not least, I would like to remind everyone that the 25th anniversary of the International ORP Foundation is just around the corner. Stay safe, stay proactive, and follow our official channels for more interviews like these. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.